Hi everyone, it's Erlene of Erlene Garcia Art and the Hollywood Carney on YouTube. As promised, this is the second video and I will be having a third video up on different styles of mask. This one features 3 different easy styles with elastic and bias tape, whatever you have on hand for your straps. And I figure if you have to wear a mask, why not look fabulous in it? Each mask is reversible, and if you don't have enough fabric, you can patch fabric to make one piece like I did in this picture here. And then also if you have heat and bond, you can iron a whole bunch of little pieces together and make one continuous large piece of fabric. Let's start with the rainbow pleated fabric one that I have here. I didn't have enough fabric, so I pieced together a yellow strip at the bottom of the mask. And that's another way of using up your scraps, and no one will ever know that I had to patch it to make up for fabric. Now, all of the masks today that we're making are reversible. I'm not going to show all of the sewing process because that is quite time consuming, and I just want to give you guys a bunch of ideas. Now, this particular one here is made with 2 pieces with darts at the nose and at the chin. This one is made of 4 pieces, and each one has interfacing and a double stitching along the side. And I saved all of my scrap interfacing and sewed it together, so there was no waste on that. So these are the items that you need: a rotary cutter, scissors, straight pins, a ruler or measuring tape, thread, elastic or bias tape, heat and bond, an iron, and a needle if you decide to sew these by hand, scrap paper so you can make your patterns, a variety of fabric. You can even cut up an old shirt. I took this fabric here and made patches out of it. This was a bandana. So just look around your place, see what you have that you can cut up and use as a mask, and the ideas will start flowing. Patches are perfect to dress up a simple type of fabric. And these I bought at the 99-cent store a while back. So let's start with the first mask. This is 8.5 by 9 inches. And as you can see, I did piece together 2 perfectly good pieces of fabric, and then I cut them straight, sewed them together, fold over 1.5 inches, and then 1/2 inch up, and that will equal a 1-inch pleat. Or you can eyeball it, which I do a lot. That's how some of my best ideas come about. So once you're done with this, straight pin each one as equally as you can, and then we're going to walk it over to the iron and iron it. I actually like that I patched this. I've done this kind of idea with quilt tops before, turning them into little handbags, drawstring pouches for my crystals and my tarot cards, or you can use them for little jewelry bags. So I had made a lot of these masks, and I ended up donating 19 of them to my local hospital here in Pasadena, California. My daughter saw on the news that they said they had a shortage, and so I just drove myself down there and took them off of my Etsy store and donated the ones that had positive images on it, like Wonder Woman and Elsa, and some had rock and roll images and lyrics, like from the Beatles, the Yellow Submarine. So I'll show you some of those pictures as we go ahead through the video. Again, I eyeballed it. I pinned each pleat next to the pleats that I already sewed so it would equal out or balance. I'm not a professional seamstress, as you can tell, but I get along pretty good. I sewed the pleats together. As you can tell, I didn't waste any fabric because you can see it still says Joann Fabrics at the bottom. I sewed the pleats. Now what I did is I took a piece of elastic and I am going to loop it inside both panels. Make sure that your elastic is facing the right direction where it's not twisted. pin together and then sew along those edges. And if your sewing machine can handle the bulkiness, sew over it 2 times because it will be getting a lot of wear and tear on where the elastic is. Now leave a 3-inch opening so you can reverse your mask. And before you do that, cut off the corners. Be careful not to cut your thread. And let's reverse it and see how cool it looks. Pretty cool. So what we're going to do is pin it closed, and then we're going to sew along the edge to give it a more finished look. And there we go. It looks like I only sewed around it once. You can do it twice. And look at that. That is so pretty. It is reversible and it is washable. And voila, you have your original art mask. And when you're walking around, be sure and carry a business card with you, so when people compliment you on it, you can say, hey, I have them for sale. So this is another idea that I did the same thing, and I just used the Heat and Bond and cut out the skull face, and did the same with a different type of fabric with the little black cat face. I had a vintage tie, and I had some other little scraps and put together this magnificent piece. And so let's go on to the next one. I cut out lips and teeth because people can't see you smile from there, and everybody needs a smile. So I was like, yeah, let's do a happy face. So the next mask that I'm going to show you, it has 4 pieces. This is an excellent project to use up those larger scraps that you have, or you can use all the same fabric like I did in this one. Now, with this particular mask, the bottom of it, you can cut at a curve or keep it straight. You can use one continuous piece of elastic for the back of your head, or bias tape like I did on the red one. This elastic, I ended up finding that at the 99-cent store, and I'm so happy that I did, considering elastic is hard to find. Now, you might want to pause right here to get the exact measurements. You can make this mask curved, or you can make it straight. So the one that I am going to make, I cut the bottom of it straight. On the gray fabric there, I had to patch together some small pieces to make one continuous piece, which I was very happy with of the way that it came out. So I took part of my sports fabric, I cut out the team and ironed it on with Heat and Bond. I chose fabric that I had on hand that was in similar colors, sewed the curve, pinned the seams together at the top and bottom, sewed the top and bottom with the interfacing, and now I'm going to reverse it. The reason we left both ends open, just like on the original first mask, we need to insert our straps or elastic. Now make sure that when you open it, that you iron it so everything looks nice and neat. And also, if you need to, trim off any edges that do not look straight where your straps are going to be. I like to add my patches or iron-ons at this point because then I know that they will be exactly where I want them. The Heat and Bond enables you to cut out any design that you like. You can take cookie cutters or stencils and trace your design on fabric, cut it out, iron it on there, and voila. So at this point, you're going to fold in and iron where your straps are going to be. Now, I just happened to buy a whole bunch of bias tape from the Goodwill last year for $5. All the colors, I was like, what am I going to do with all this? But I knew it was a steal for $5. So what I did is I used it as the straps. I sewed along the edge just for a little extra color and to keep it together, tied a knot at the end of it, and look at that. I'm loving it. Now on this next one, it's the same style. I just reduced the pattern and added elastic to the back, put a seam down the front, and this one is for a baby. And please remember, do not leave a baby or infant unattended with one of these masks on. Super cute. I love it. Okay, so let's go on to the third one, And this one is 2 pieces of fabric and a interfacing if you so desire. I love this style because you can use super cool fabric and get at least 90% of the image on there. There's 2 darts, 1 dart at the top of the nose and 1 dart at the bottom of the chin. And then you can add whatever type of straps that you have available. You can use ribbon, and in my last video I used rubber bands, the hair ties. I recently found some hair ties that are for long hair, and the rubber band was super cool, so that's going to be in my next video. The vintage inspired fabric was so cool that I thought, why not use some of the beautiful vintage inspired florals. Now, the majority of this cool fabric came from Joann's, and it is the replica of the Simplicity patterns, and I thought the women were so cool on there. Some of the other fabric I had purchased at Hobby Lobby or ordered online or bought from a private party, and my fabric collection is getting to be huge. I found that this is a perfect opportunity to use it up, and I've been selling a lot of masks in my Etsy shop. Look at this beautiful fabric. Oh my gosh. So you might want to pause the video here so you can get the accurate measurements for the mask. And as you can see, you can just lay this pattern over the images that you like. Cut 3 pieces. That includes your interfacing. Sew the darts, and then sew the top and bottom facing each other, leaving each end open. Reverse, iron, and prepare the edges just like the other mask. When you're making a mask for a man, the straps need to be increased about an inch, inch and a half, and decrease on a child's mask. I like the way that the camouflage brought out the colors of the women in the fabric. It kind of gave it a artsy-fartsy look. And again, I'm just trying to make this a happy thing, a fashion statement, since we do have to wear these masks for a little while longer. So I'm thinking outside of the box and choosing happy fabric from my fabric stash. So let's go ahead and look at some of the other masks that I made and some that I donated. Oh, look at that one with the cupcakes. That is so sweet. And you can also adjust some of the patterns to your liking and whatever feels comfortable on your face. Now, I thought the ones with the donuts would be great for someone who works in the food industry, and the rock and roll for some of those artsy type in your life. And let's see what else. Oh, this is the Yellow Submarine fabric that I was talking about with the Beatles, the lyrics on it. That was a lot of fun, and I used a yellow coordinating fabric for the lining. I was so happy when I found some of these retro looking fabrics that I was able to use some of my retro looking prints to be the reverse side. I consider myself pretty lucky to have seen The Who perform at one of the most popular desert concerts there in Palm Springs a couple of years ago. I sure needed a mask back then because there's so much dirt and sand and grit that blows around and sticks to your makeup. I should have thought about it back then. Oh well, better late than never. So now when the festival season comes along, I am prepared. So this is my mask. I took basic leopard, which I love leopard, and I thought let's add a little pizzazz to it. So I came up with this idea and I really like it. So let's look at the next mask. So this style is the style that we just completed with the 2 darts, one on the nose, one on the chin. This is my version of a crazy quilt. I took the little crumb pieces. The crumb pieces are little tiny pieces that still have a usable image on it. I placed them with similar characters, themes, or images just so they kind of all blend. And then I ironed them on the heat and bond and zigzagged my way around every little image so I would have a large piece of fabric that I could use for other little projects. So that's whenever I started making the mask, I thought this is perfect. Now you can see the shiny background on it how it holds everything perfectly in place. Now make sure that you read your manufacturer's description on which ones that you can use on your sewing machine, because it will gum up your needle. And the shiny part can be ironed directly to your lining. So always be creative and think outside of the box. And my next video will be on even more glamorous masks. So you guys have a happy day. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.